When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, welcome back to the Grease God YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Maegor. As you guys may know on this channel, I would say I'm somewhat of a Maegor apologist. Now, not fully. I think Maegor did commit a lot of bad actions, and he wasn't the best individual, but I am someone that understands quite heavily a lot of his rationale into the decisions that he makes, and why he had to do drastic actions. And so I've always said that Maegor was set up to be this character that had to fix all of Aenys' issues. And so in this video, the main subject I'm going to talk about is why I believe Maegor was justified to take the throne after Aenys' death. Before we get further into the video, if you did want to become a Patreon or a member, you do get videos early, and I'm also doing some House of the Dragon preview videos. I've already done Aemond and Alicent and doing Aegon this week. Also, we're going to be doing some House of the Dragon content during the life cycle in terms of just doing my quick reviews on there. My more summarized thoughts, as the streams are going to be quite lengthy and more in-depth. But if you did want to become one of those, consider that. And also, thank you to everyone that supports me on there already. I appreciate you guys, and let's get into the video. Aenys had said that he wanted his son, Aegon, to become the king, along with his sister wife, Rhaena. Well, here's the issue. At the time of Aenys' death, around what was going on, let's think about everything that fell out to where, when Maegor takes over, the kingdoms are in complete chaos, the Targaryens are basically completely out of power, that it was completely justified for Maegor to come over and take the crown. So let's start off with, the major thing that really turns the public against Aenys and really starts his downfall is when he decides to marry his daughter and his son together. This is a huge issue, and it had never really been done. The issue hadn't been brought up really since Aegon had taken the throne, right? The faith had really been under his thumb. They'd kind of learned their place under Aegon. But this is finally now the time where the faith, they were still armed at this time, were going to show a little bit of protest. They didn't believe in brother marrying sister. We see a couple things ending up transpiring. One, we see Aenys being called the King Abomination. The faith turn against him. All of Westeros seems to flip. We also see that Septon Myrmidon was expelled from the faith. That's, he was the one that was performing the wedding ceremony for Prince Aegon and Princess Rhaena. So we have a bunch of things happening here in which we see that the faith has a falling out with the Targaryens. But that's not even everything that happens. We see within a fortnight of this happening, Septon Myrmidon was hacked in pieces, signaling the start of the faith militant uprising. And so what is Aenys going to do about this? Nothing. We're going to see it get even worse. The warriors' sons fortified the Sept of Remembrance on Rhaenys' hill. Aenys then flees King's Landing, the seat of his power, flees it. He gives it to the faith, giving away his semblance of power. But 3 days before they were to set sail, even a knight of the Kingsguard had to save Aenys because he was almost killed in a planned assassination attempt. So Aenys has not only allowed an assassination attempt to happen, he's allowed to be kicked out of his own capital. He has allowed the faith to take over Rhaenys' hill. He's allowed, the Septon that is supporting him to be killed, and nothing is done. The faith are allowed to continue to get more power because they see no repercussions. If we think about World War II, something that the Germans did, and I can't use their names because then this video doesn't get monetized, but the more that they took, and without any repercussions, it allowed them to do more and more and more and more and take over more land. The same is kind of here as well. You give something more power without any repercussions, they're going to keep taking. And that's what continues to happen. As the realm turned into chaos, thousands of poor fellows prowled the roads, threatening and slaying any of the king's supporters, while dozens of lords took up arms directly against the Iron Throne. But this gets even worse, because not only are, Westeros kind of mobilizing against the crown, and the faith have completely taken Aenys out of King's Landing, but his heir, Aegon, and his wife, Rhaena, were trapped at Crakehall because Rhaena was not allowed to take her dragon, as it would have seen as unmanning Aegon and these royal progresses that they were doing. So let's take a look at the situation that happens when Maegor comes over. Aenys is dead. The kingdoms are in complete ruin. The Targaryen dynasty is on the edge of a knife in terms of losing all of their power and literally losing their dynasty in less than 50 years. And so what does Maegor do, right? The heir is captive right now. He's in no place to fix the Targaryen issue and himself is struggling to get out of captivity, more or less. Maegor, let's take a look at him, right? He is a character that has been gifted the sword of not only Blackfire, but Dark Sister. He has Visenya's sword and Aegon's sword, both seen as power symbols of the Targaryen house. Now, it's not as clear on terms of the power, because when we see the first Blackfire Rebellion, the reason that Blackfire is so important is because there are no dragons. So to show your Targaryen power, having Aegon the Conqueror's sword means a lot. So you put that together with him also having the Conqueror's dragon, as well as having Visenya on his side, having Vhagar. Maegor was the one that controlled all of the power, was in the place to be able to set out and destroy the faith. And the only way the situation was going to be fixed was if he took the throne. He could not enact any of his laws that we would see where the faith are unarmed and all of that stuff, even something that Jaehaerys wouldn't revoke either. He would keep that firmly in place. All of that could not happen if Maegor was not on the throne. And so I look at the situation in which Maegor takes the throne, he deals with the faith, and he leads to this perfect scenario where Jaehaerys is able to take the throne. Now Maegor, especially I think later in his life after Visenya dies, was not the best guy, right? He was not someone that made rational decisions. He was quite cruel at times, but early on in his life, I don't think he was this horrible person. I think he's very understandable in where he goes about doing things. He has to set up the dynasty, and that causes drastic actions because Aenys has let this thing fester so long. The only solution now is violence. That's the only way the situation is going to be solved for the Targaryen dynasty. And Aegon was not in a position to do that. Neither was Rhaena. So Maegor coming to the throne, in my opinion, from a Targaryen side of things, from a we want the Targaryen dynasty to continue, he is completely justified, in my opinion, of taking the throne. It is the only possible situation that would have resulted in the Targaryens keeping their power and being in a position to have a long, peaceful dynasty that would come from Jaehaerys. Now, I shouldn't say a long, peaceful dynasty because the rest of it wouldn't be peaceful, but the long period of time that Jaehaerys rules is quite peaceful. And even Viserys' reign is also peaceful. You have another, 80 years of peace kind of after this. So I think personally, let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on Maegor Targaryen, on him actually taking the throne? Because in my opinion, completely justified. I have no problems with Maegor taking the throne. The problems I have with Maegor is later on in his reign when Visenya dies, because that's when he seems to stop making logical choices, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think, and I see you guys all in the next one. Bye, guys.